only wants you to make good beer and have fun hanging out with your friends. Here's Dono. What's up, everybody? We're making another beer today. You know, I'm not gonna try to throw the Anvil people under the bus right now because I want to see what happens, but I'm not getting any more response to my acceptance of their offer to try this pressurized fermenter and do some reviews. So I was planning on doing all these different kinds of lagers this summer and seeing how that goes with the pressurized fermenter, but they did say there's going to be a delay, and then now they're not even getting back to me. So we will see what happens. Onward and upward. So what we're doing today is there's a limited release from Imperial that I'm getting out right now. There that is. And I believe what this is a combination, don't know if it's going to say it here, of the juice and the Loki, which is sort of, I think, the hoppy, maybe hazy strain, and also the kveik strain. It says it can go up to 74 degrees. You know, I thought I heard it could go up warmer because of the Loki component. Anyway, it's a unique strain. We're warmer here in the summertime, so I thought I was offered the chance to use it. I thought I would take it. So I'm gonna make a blonde ale. I'm gonna do a New Zealand version. I have 11 pounds of North Star Pils. I bittered it with ½ ounce of this Pacific Jade, and then I have the other ½ ounce and the full ounce Waimea that I'll put in at the end somehow. I've got some excess wort boiling here because I end up collecting kind of more than I need, and then the other one is out here, and I thought we could do a quick garden update since that's rolling along. Some of the stuff I planted in seeds are coming. This was kind of fun. I just saw some of these tiger lilies appear today. Otherwise I have a few tomatoes here, but the main stuff is all over everywhere else. I just did a whole bunch of weeding on this yesterday. It was pretty messy, but mostly tomatoes and some like bell peppers, kohlrabi, kale, a little bit of lettuce. My bean plants coming along. You know, I had to do this extra chicken wire because the bean plants, the leaves were getting eaten by rabbits, I think, and I've never really seen that before, so I had to do all this chicken wire, also this shielding in the back because they could get through this fence, these cracks, but I think that's helping those. These tomatoes in this location are doing pretty well. They like it there. Then here's just some miscellaneous stuff that was all by seeds. Cucumbers, radishes, carrots, beets. Oh, the cilantro is coming in, so I'll be able to use some of that. And this is the fun area. These are, I had to cage this off too because they always got dug up, but I got 2 giant sunflowers growing. I had one last year. There's actually 2. There's another one down there, and I actually also have some growing in a part of this patch, and then there's currently one in this pot. I just was trying to grow a bunch to get some to grow. Okay, but the reason we're here mostly is this brew. So this is boiling, this is trucking along. Like I said, I've got the other 1.5 ounces to add whenever I am able to, and we'll see if this New Zealand blonde turns out. It's been an hour. I did not add any more boil hops, but I did do the ½ ounce of this, which is 12.2. So I have a ½ ounce of this. We're gonna put those in, and then I have this full ounce of Waimea. My thinking here is that this beer should be 1050-ish. I thought that it didn't need to be overly bitter. I'm not trying to make a pale ale necessarily, and also with leaving a 17.8% alpha acid hop in here even right now for up to 15 minutes at just post boil temperatures, it will get some more bitterness. That is what I am taking a long time to say. So we're gonna let it sit 15 minutes. I'll go sanitize the fermenter and get some stuff ready. Alright, I got a little, just under 5 gallons this time, and I noticed this double mesh strainer that I use, and as you can see, I didn't even bang it out yet, but I used 2 ounces of hops total, and I really did not get the amount of hop, let's call it trube, or the hops, in this strainer as it was in this funnel as I normally would. So I found that interesting. I don't know if the New Zealand hops have anything, I don't know why they would be different or processed different. Today I'm just pitching the yeast packet straight. It's going to be about a 1050, 1 to 2 to 3 original gravity. So I'm just pitching this in there. I poured it in there, so I got all that kind of aeration. I'm not going to do the extra aeration. I'm just kind of continuing to experiment to see if these shortcuts, which is how everyone's taught to brew, but then we make it more involved, right, with pure oxygen and yeast starters. And most of the time, and much of the time, that is helpful. It's always helpful, but is it necessary? So I experimented last year with just pitching these packets in there, which are said to have so much yeast and a sufficient amount of yeast, and I think if anything I noticed maybe a slightly longer lag time, but I didn't really notice any difference in terminal gravities or overall flavor. So anyway, this is all ready to go. Now my room that I have for it is, I don't know, 74 or something, so I'm still going to do my ice jugs thing, which in my previous beer I was able to keep it 10 degrees colder than the ambient temp of the room. So I'm just going to try to keep it maybe like below 70, even though this range is advertised as 60, what does that say? 68 to 74. Funny, that's a real narrow range. I'm sure it could go colder than 68. But anyway, we'll see what it is fermenting at, and hopefully it will get going soon. So it's about a day and 6-7 hours since I pitched the yeast, just from the pack. It's definitely going, and more interesting, it's pretty cool at 64, 60, you know, right in there. These were the most recent 3 ice little things that I had under these shirts. And what is this room? It did cool down a tiny bit recently, so this room is like 72 or something. So I'm still running it, keeping it cooler than the ambient temp, but you know, it doesn't really need to be quite that cool, so I'll probably back it down a little bit. I just didn't really want it going into the upper 70s right now, but it's definitely going along, and that's good. So maybe I'll just put like one ice thing in there and keep it a little bit cooler and see how it goes. Okay, here we are. We're gonna taste the New Zealand Blonde. It's literally about 80, I think it's the upper 80s actually. I think it's like 88
oh, it's
or 9.
92. My computer said like 92 when I left.
God. Alright, so got my little cheat sheets here. We actually did a tasting yesterday, but then I realized I said some things wrong, and we know more about the yeast now, so we're gonna do another one.
Yeah.
This beer went from 1055 is what the actual OG was, down to 1008, brewed on June 26th. It is like July 20th or 21st. Been in the keg since July 6th, so it's been 2 weeks in the keg, and still was 11 pounds of North Star Pils, half ounce Pacific Jade, bittering, and then at the end, the other ½ ounce of Pacific Jade and 1 ounce of Waimea. Now, yesterday we already went through what do we smell, what do we taste.
May I have another?
Ah.
All right, cheers, real quick.
So we can probably just crank through this because we also know what they tell you you're supposed to smell and taste, and we kind of went through this yesterday. But
I feel like we both, like, a big thing that jumps out is lemon, and not like this like oily lemon peel, almost just like the lemon fruit, the lemon meat. I remember when I was doing my interview with Dr. Matt at Imperial, telling him that you had brewed this beer. I had a very, very young sample. I think like you had only kegged it like 2 or 3 days earlier. And I noted like black pepper. I noted lemon, black pepper, and saltine cracker. It was almost like having lemon pepper wings or something.
Ding, ding, ding. That's Pacific Jade. Said to have that. It's sort of a descendant of Zaz, I guess. So they say herbal, fresh citrus, black pepper. Waimea, fresh citrus, resinous pine, tangerine, grapefruit, pomelo. Pomelo, I looked it up. It's an ancestor of grapefruit. Resinous pine. That is, I think, really a good descriptor. We talked about this thing has a. Ooh, I just thought of another talking point I missed yesterday. This thing has quite a bitterness. In my setup footage, I say something to the effect of, "Well, I don't want to put too many hops in for bittering. I'm not trying to make a big hop monster." It's a blonde, right? You think a blonde could almost be, equal malt or hops. If anything, maybe more malt.
Yeah.
I will say this probably has more bitterness than I intended. I didn't run the tool on this one because I knew either way how it came out it would be fine. I mean, I guess it's almost more like a pale ale. The bitterness level.
And I would say that piney resininess, especially in the aftertaste and the lingering factor, makes that bitterness seem even higher because it feels like that bitterness is stretching. But it's good. It's not to your point. It's not. It's not a blonde ale in a way that like a blonde ale is almost a cousin of a cream ale. Like this is definitely a session IPA almost,
or pale ale.
Yeah, and for the Capri strain, the use that they're really putting out there is hazies and anything with like citrus forward hops. But when I told them you brewed this, they were excited. He also said other pales, session pale. He kind of said, which I was like, what's a session pale? I've never heard of that. But so it's not like haze bombs are the only thing it brews, and this is like clear but not crystal clear.
It's not very clear. I don't think it's
in a fine way though. Like
it might get a little clearer with time. It's been in the keg for 2 weeks and no gelatin. The other thing too, as I noted, I did not do a starter. I did not do extra aeration. This thing started, really going within a day. I have some footage you saw of that. I wouldn't have wanted it any lower than 1.00 heat. That's fully attenuated as far as I'm concerned. So, in this case, I did not. I think I called it skipping some steps, or what did I call it? It's shortcuts. It's
low lift brew day.
It's just like you don't have to do these extra steps to get the beer that you want. Now about this Capri, what we learned is it's not a blend of 2 different strains. That's what I thought, but Chip corrected me.
I went into the conversation assuming that as well, and watch our video for a little bit more like nerdy technical explanation from Dr. Matt, but the way I had it explained is it's a child of Loki and Juice, not so much a blend, because apparently in a blend, say somebody wants to reuse it multiple generations, the percentage of the blend starts to morph because of one overpowering. So when they do these hybrids, they really want an offspring that for the user, the home brewer, if we love it, we can use this multiple times and it's not
I didn't catch that point. I remember him talking about that, but I didn't get that was the point of
kind of
sort
blew
of
my
like
mind.
Forcing them to reproduce and then get this new result.
Right.
I was also thinking if you wash,
so it's a single strain.
like when I was washing the kveik blend, I think it might have gotten a little different as the one on. Whatever.
Or this one.
No, official kveik blend because some strains might flocculate out more and they're not in suspension, and then I'm pouring off the top, so then I don't get something else. So there could have been factors like that, but that would not be the case with this if it's just all one, you know, homogeneous type strain. And I did wash this. And I'm going to brew 2 more times, which brings me up to another point, is I might get to a slightly warmer temperature.
Yeah.
This particular beer never got above 70. I mean, it got to be 68, 69, you know, it was just never got above 70. And the actual range is like
low 70s.
72 to 76 or something. Or,
Yeah.
It's not a wide range. Usually they give you like 10 degrees, but the point is, it's warmer now. I'm brewing tonight and tomorrow morning, so the beer will. I'm just gonna use ice jugs. I think the room actually is 76.
Let it go, let it rip.
No, it would be in the 80s. Then it would be in the 80s. I don't want that.
Scared.
Yeah. I don't want to. I've had a beer. I had made a beer once in my very first year of brewing over 20 years ago that got fermented too warm.
Yeah.
And it was bad.
Okay.
And like that's.
Okay.
It's like you do have to pay attention.
Ice jugs
to
away,
those.
at least for the first like day or two. But I think you could let it free rise, definitely after 48 hours. And
just depends. I just don't want it. If they say up to 76, I don't want it to be like 84. I mean, could generate a lot of its own heat.
yeah,
Anyway,
I mean it's a tangent, but the esters are all made in those first 48 hours.
Oh,
so after
if
that,
you say.
ramping up is more about just like helping it make sure it finishes. It's gonna have no problem finish. We know from using Imperial strains in general.
mm-hmm.
The count is high, the fermentation is quick.
Yeah,
it's
and another final point is, like, once again, if you've never used New Zealand hops, I would encourage you to give them a try if you're up for trying something a little bit different. They are, to me, they are almost consistently different. I mean, I've probably tried 6 to 8 different ones. Not including Nelson Sylvan, which is kind of his own unique animal, but all the other ones are just kind of lemony, limey, maybe also with this pininess, and they give you a fun result that's different than American hops and different than European hops.
I haven't used this blend before, but do you think, you know, with a yeast strain that theoretically plays more friendly with citrusy hops than say other hops, do you feel there's any communication with the yeast and the hops in this beer that would be worth noting, or impossible without a side-by-side?
I don't know, because every time I use New Zealand hops, whatever type of yeast I use, I get, you know,
a really surprising new
yeah,
result.
they're kind of a fresh, bright, bursting, notable, you know, unique flavor.
Life's too short for triangle tasting. Or at least brewing.
For brewing the
3
2
beers.
batches, right. No, for brewing the 2 batches simultaneously. I'll leave that to people with more time and more people.
Umlauts?
Even more people that drink their beer than I have. So, yeah, I wanted to set by my sunflowers that are coming along. I think actually earlier in this video, I did a garden survey.
Oh, a garden
of
tour?
like June 26th.
Okay.
So that's like almost a month ago. So, I mean, I'll maybe do some other ones later, but yeah, these things were probably about like this high. Now they're
When do they start to flower?
almost as tall as Chip. Oh, I don't know.
I'm almost as tall as me. They're a big boy.
They're real grown up in a couple months.
And shameless plug, man. Like, check out Chop and Brew episode. It's probably going to come out a few days after Don's video, but look for it. Or maybe we'll schedule well enough to like, hey you. But either way, we interview.
But we can link each other's videos.
Yeah, I interviewed Dr. Matt. He's very cool, very transparent about this new hybrid series and what Capri could be used for. Even get into talking about sake a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, check that out if you want a more nerdy explanation, a little less informal analysis.
We'll turn it into a garden channel later on. So thanks for watching, and catch you later.